Boom, 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 boom. And here we are, man. It's like we're winding down, man. The NBA season is about to end. The NHL finals are here. And you guys are here with the Sports is My Love Language podcast. And I'm really excited about today's show because we get to talk about the NBA finals. Man, it's getting to game six. It's getting pretty exciting. I see a lot of storylines. I'm very interested to know about what Petey Pablo thinks, what my man Dre thinks, what some of their predictions are. We're also going to talk about something that's kind of grabbing the headlines quietly. It's the LIV, the Live Golf, and versus the PGA. It's kind of like a changing of the guard, so we're going to touch on that a little bit. And then at the end, we're going to go in with something really light, and we're going to do a little starts bench cut. And I would really be interested in hearing what a lot of you guys had to say. I try to make it as competitive as possible, so that'll be a nice little opinion piece right there. So let's start off, guys. Huge, huge, huge win for the Golden State Warriors in Game 5. They're here in Game 6. What do you guys think? Do you think Boston has what it takes to overtake them in a Game 6? Do you think it's going to go 7? What are your thoughts?
Pablo, you up first?
Let the Golden State Warriors fan go first. Let's see where he comes from.
Like in the playoffs, in the NBA Finals, man, a win is a win. I didn't think that if you would ask me before the game, Stephen Curry would make 0 3-pointers for the first time in 233 games, get locked down in that way. Would they be able to win the game? I would say no.
That's
so
crazy,
to me,
yes.
This is more of what Boston wasn't able to do than what we were able to do. And I'm a Warrior fan, you guys know, but I got to keep it real as well. I feel like we got lucky in that Game 5. What do you guys think?
What do you think was the key? Okay, so Curry goes cold. Goes cold. What do you think is the key on offense that kept them in the game? Who do you think stepped up? What did you see?
Well, obviously the biggest.
It was Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, that's what I was going there as well. It was had to be
for
Andrew
me. It
Wiggins.
Has to be Andrew Wiggins. Yes,
and the thing about the Warriors is that
it has to be Andrew Wiggins.
Somebody has to step up on that team, and they got more than one guy that has the capability of it, right? Which is a luxury to have.
Right.
The thing is that you don't necessarily know who that's going to be, and that's kind of
exactly.
That's kind of crazy saying it for Golden State because normally you would have expected it to be Clay, but we know that he's still getting back from those 2 serious injuries. But Poole has been there, has had some games where he took over. Wiggins, we saw this, right? So it was. I'm glad that somebody stepped up. If you're a Golden State Warriors fan, right? If you're the team, because Steph had his worst game in 4 years, right? Statistically, I think that was his worst game in 4 years. It was there for Boston to take, and somebody stepped up big time. And it wasn't with the 3-point shooting because apparently they must have been drinking what the Heat were drinking because they left the 3-point game home somewhere because it was nowhere to be found. Overall, now it wasn't just Steph; it was the whole team that was struggling like that.
Do you think? Okay, so I'm very hard on Steve Kerr. I've always been very hard on Steve Kerr. I just felt like he got handed the keys to a Corvette a lot of times, and maybe I'm way too hard on him. I am definitely way too hard on him. He did, but I'm way too hard on him. I know that because I think in all the games that I watched, right? And again, I'm not a proficient basketball guy like you guys are. The one game where I was like, "Yo, Steve Kerr is out coaching the Celtics," was this last game and the game before and what do you call it? When he took out Draymond, it was like, all right, bro, I don't care.
And put Looney in and played offense, defense.
I thought he made some adjustments. I was like, oh, okay, I see what he's doing now. He's coaching. You know what I'm saying? And I think it might have been Mark Jackson or somebody said something that I was like, yo, that's dope. That's dope. It's freaking, what do you call it? So, Javi, what do you see? I know, do you think the Celtics lost that game or do you think the Golden State Warriors won it? Javi, you here?
Honestly, bro, what I saw was I felt like the Celtics. They go through these streaks of just being dumb, not really being as aggressive that they should be. They rely too much on the 3-point shooting, and it's like dude, like I said it like a couple of times, like they're the most dumb talented team I've seen. And
That's a fact.
it continues to keep showing. Again, they're very good defensively, but I just don't know how to explain this team, because you would think that with their talent, and you would think that some of these players should have a better IQ. Like I know Al Horford has a high IQ.
Very high IQ.
Another high IQ. Like these guys just don't know how to put it together for a full
48 minutes.
And there's that one, like, let's just take game 1 for instance, where in the fourth quarter they didn't miss a shot, and I keep on thinking to myself, if that fourth quarter didn't go that way, are we talking about already the Warriors being the champions right now?
Right.
And that's what
right.
I keep on seeing the Warriors still being the better team, and I just don't understand why ESPN keeps on saying that Boston Celtics have a 77% chance, even though they're down 3-2 right now. It just gets aggravated, because I'm just there like, all right, you guys have done this before. Steve Kerr has made decisions for the team, as we saw in Game 5 by sitting Draymond Green down.
Right.
You could tell who has done this before and who has the respect of their locker room just a little bit more at this point.
That's a fact.
I'm going to say this right now. I think it's the Warriors understanding the moment, understanding what to do during certain moments, and the coach. But at the same time, I also give the Celtics its credit of being that dumb team.
I got a question for you, Javi. Now you say that, right? So you talk about them being the smartest, the best dumb team you've ever seen.
Right.
My question is this: what about? Do you think that it's that they have their leader is very mature?
If they have their leader, I'm sorry, what?
Do you think it's maybe that their leader is very mature, like their lead player, Tatum?
All right, so you're talking about Tatum?
Yeah.
Bro, I think we've talked about this. I don't understand how your A-star player goes through games like that. That he'll drop a deuce. And when I'm talking about deuce, I'm talking to number 2. You know what I'm saying? On a game. Because he does it. And then all of a sudden, like, yes, was it the game? Was it Game 5 that he shot like a good 2-3 air balls?
Yeah, he was out of it. He was out of it.
Like, dude, I don't remember LeBron. I don't remember Kobe. I don't remember, I mean, even Giannis.
Kobe against Utah.
Okay, but it's just you don't.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
And it's like, why are we comparing this guy, still young, very young, still 24 years old, but Kobe did it as young,
Right, right.
I'm just saying, like, why are we comparing this guy to, like, being so great when at this point he hasn't proved it yet?
Yeah, and that's what I'm struggling with him.
I'm struggling too, Pablo, because I'm just there, like, I see the ability, I just don't see it consistently.
Yeah, and
it's premature. It's very premature.
It's clear to say he's the number 1 guy on his team. No one's going to question that. But what I'm saying is should he be held to the echelon of this cream of the crop, elite player because he
level A1 top shelf NBA, right?
Because a couple of guys already did. Oh, like LeBron and like this guy. Like, why are we even saying that about him right now? We shouldn't be saying like LeBron or like this guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's the media, man. You know how the media goes. They grab the best player.
They don't have a choice.
Team, and then when it gets to the very top, see, here's the narrative. Maybe I want to shift a little bit. Why is it that? Okay, so maybe for the guys that are really, really deep fans, but like the casual, right? We watch the game. We need to see a Jordan, Kobe, LeBron-esque performance where they dominate, right?
Right.
I wonder if people, guys like you that really pay attention to the game, when you grab a guy like Tatum, do you see the nuance? Do you see the small things that he does to lead his team to victory? Or is he like even lacking in that area? Because what I saw in the first couple of games was when they had him as a facilitator and he wasn't the first option. When they knew they were going to take away that first option, the rest of
Right.
the floor opened up. But
Right.
when he insisted on being the first option and grabbed the ball and try to like force shit, all of a sudden the Golden State Warriors defense was able to clamp down. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I'm like, maybe maybe there's a definition for we need to start looking at sometimes what you don't do is as good as what you do.
So what
Okay.
what the four of us have gotten used to seeing in NBA Finals lore is what Andrew Wiggins did. Post up, back up, turn around jumper, just attack here, attack there, not range shots from the outside all game. I'm telling you, I've said it. The way the game has changed is affecting the way we view the way we view these players, because they're shooting a lot more from the perimeter, and not everyone is Steph Curry.
Right.
And even Steph Curry was capable of having a bad game, which he did. Obviously, that was the worst one in 4 years. But the point being that even he is, susceptible to having a bad game.
Yeah,
So,
it can happen.
in terms of the outside shooting, and if an entire team is shooting terribly, it's so hard to judge. Because even when we go with the more recent guys, like LeBron is not a shooter like that.
32%.
Right. So he attacks. Durant is a machine from anywhere.
Right.
Steph is a machine from anywhere. So it's like we have the cream of the crop are so specialized, and I don't mean that I'm not mean that like a one-trick pony type of thing. They're just so elite at the way they do it that when you have a guy like Tatum he's not known as a three-point shooter, right?
Right.
That's not the first thing you say, but he can attack the rim. He can post up, do turnaround jumpers.
He's like a jack of all trades. He's good at everything.
Right.
Great at nothing. I don't.
He's
think.
long. He's
But
long.
he
He gets his
great.
hand on balls on defense.
But he can be great by mixing it up depending on what is being put in front of him. That is where his greatness has to come from. That is where, okay, I'm going to take the Kobe side mentality. I'm going to back someone up. I'm going to turn around, jumper on his ass all day.
Exactly.
Oh, this guy's defending me. Okay, I'm going to attack this guy. You know what I'm saying? If it's like, they're attacking Curry, right? In this series, they're attacking him. All right, I get Curry in front of me. I'm attacking him.
Right.
Oh, they want to double team me. I'm going to facilitate out to Jalen or whoever.
Right.
That's where his growth is going to come because that's what he is. He's a multifaceted player but he can control the narrative for his team. And he's a good defender.
Very good defender.
Side. So I think he's thinking too much. That's what I think I'm starting to see. That's what it is.
Right.
I feel like Boston let one slip away. Anytime,
of course,
you could have Curry have such a bad game, and you don't win.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
You just had he had a career-defining bad game. That was a really not career-defining, a career bad game. That was horrible. From 3-point shot,
right?
He didn't make a 3-point shot in 233 games, first time, right? And
imagine the biggest bets on that if someone took that.
Right, imagine that shit.
That would have been a nice,
nice come up, nice 12, 15,000.
But you're right, But that's what makes Curry such a better player because he knows he's not having a great game, but he's still doing all the other stuff, being the decoy,
right,
and all the other things.
He's still running off the screen, still doing all the other stuff, like Pablo said. Yeah,
but that's the whole thing, right? He only had 16 points, but he had 8 assists. He only turned the ball over 2 times, so that's a 4-to-1 assist rate.
Exactly.
So he wasn't doing stupid things.
Those 2 turnovers count a lot.
But look at Jason Tatum. He has a bad game and Boston wins.
That's true.
So
that's true.
That kind of shows you that's where the IQ part that I keep on talking about, if this team was just basically maybe 25% smarter, they would have won this series because
would you go with coaching? Would you put that 25% on coaching?
Say again?
Would you put that 25% on the coaching?
I put it on
he's a rookie coach.
Maybe a little bit. A little bit.
I put it on the players a little bit more because as much as coaches you want to do, you can't coach a guy to basically make the correct pass. You could coach them throughout, but if they're doing stupid things throughout the game, that means the pressure's getting to them. And there's not much a coach could do to tell you about pressure. That's just that's a DNA thing at that point. You are who you are, right? Again, let's go back to game 5. All right. The Boston Celtics in Golden State got 31 free throws while the Golden State Warriors only had 16. That's almost a 2-1.
Yeah,
All right. So you would think with that type of free throw disparity that you would think that Boston might have came out and had a victory, but their 18 turnovers, which again is what I call dumb basketball, is what caused them to fail. Now I hear that there was a lot of bad, repping and stuff like that. My bad. I'm in the parking lot right now.
No, it's all good.
It's to me, it's just dumb basketball.
Yeah, I think it's to allude to Javi's point is that and pressure and experience. I think Tatum will win or lose. He's going to come out better for next season with this type of experience. This type of pressure.
Here's the thing that you say that, right? I'm going to touch on what Javi said. I don't think you could teach that inner dog, right? And again, I'm not saying he'll never have it. I don't want to be that guy, but there's nothing telling me that he has that inner dog, that inner like tough, like that Mamba mentality. I haven't seen it from him, man. Like, even if you're not shooting right, even if your game is off, there should be like an edge to you. And he plays with so much finesse that I don't see that in him in Tatum, man. And I'm not, again, he's a young guy. Who knows? Maybe he'll develop it. But a lot of the young guys, you've seen it from the very beginning. That have seen that dog,
I don't even know if there's that many in the league right now that have that, because you compare it to Mamba mentality, and I think that can be detrimental to these guys. Is, dude, that was the second, not to take away anything from Kobe, but we know where Kobe based his game from.
Yeah.
And where he developed his mindset from. We know he got it from Jordan. To use those two is hard on, to use that as a measuring stick. That's tough. You know what I'm saying? To put on these players. But I get what you're saying, and you're right. You can't teach it. You can't. The coach can't sit there and say, "Hey,
I'll give you."
But it can be developed. I think it can develop. Not necessarily.
I don't think he's okay. So I'll give. Before we even go to Ben start, I'm going to ask you a question. Who would you take right now, Damian Lillard or Tatum?
Lillard.
Why would you take Lillard?
Because of what you just said. Because I know what.
Because of that dog, right? That's the only.
Yeah. Well, plus he's not afraid to take shots. Not that Tatum's afraid to take shots, but we know he can hit shots, and then he's got that. But now, I mean, I have. If you would literally want me to sit there and break down their game, offense and defense, I don't know. I might have a different answer. I don't.
But you're right. But I am gonna say, like, if Tatum had that, it's not something that it's not X's and O's. It's you look at it and you're like, there's something with the eye test when it comes to Tatum in the way he plays. You know how he plays? Okay.
Let me ask you this real quick.
If he was a quarterback in the NFL, I would love him.
Yeah. Let me ask you this real quick.
He doesn't show emotion. He's very even keel. High low. He's very chill.
Yeah. Dallas was in the playoffs last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did we see that out of Luka like what we saw this year?
No.
Were we talking about Luka the way he was just going and attacking like that?
The only reason I'm saying saw that dog in him. You see the thing about we can go to Luka. The thing about Luka is from the day he stepped on the court, you felt the same thing you felt with Lillard, that inner dog. You know what I'm saying? My only thing is, I'm not saying he's not fantastic. The only thing I'm saying is that according to my eye test, I don't feel like Tatum has the inner dog. He might have the passion. He might be love in basketball, but there's this fight. There's this thing when a dog gets put in the corner and he bites back. It just doesn't seem like Tatum has that bite back mentality. He's very much he gets into a groove or a situation, instead of fighting his way out of the corner, he'll pass the ball. He starts to become this other player. You know what I mean? So that right there to me is what separates.
Are we starting to give him the LeBron treatment about, well, he doesn't have the killer instinct at the end of the game? People were saying that about LeBron early in his career.
He just doesn't have it. I look, again, I'm being hard on him only because we're talking basketball. I don't feel he doesn't pass my eye test. That's all it is. That's it. I wish I could go into analytics and numbers and shit and talk about other stuff, but the truth is it's strictly, what do you call it? I can't. I just don't see it. I see him play, and I see him get lost in the sauce at times. When you're the best player, even Steph, right? When Steph was struggling, you still knew where he was on the floor at every moment, right? When Tatum starts to fade, all of a sudden he disappears and just becomes a face on the team. You know what I mean? That's my thing right there.
I think him and Booker are on that same path right now. They're,
Yes, yeah, that tier 2, great, really, 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 really good, great tier 2, not superstar. You know what I'm saying? That's where I feel like they both are. They're both kind of like, you know what I mean? But what do you,
I think
okay,
I think he's going to come out better of it, more experienced. That maybe that can help lead him to say, okay, I'm not going to let myself get caught up in whatever could be messing with him mentally, or make him hesitate or whatever. And I think if he gets back there, I think he would approach it differently.
you know who's the dogs on that team? They have a bunch of dogs on that team, and he's just not one of them. That's the crazy part. Because Jaylen Brown is just not. I don't think talent-wise, it's just not. He's not where Tatum is, but he has that inner dog in him. You know what I'm saying? Marcus Smart doesn't have the offensive skill set, but he has that. The other boy, the one with the dreads, the big, really
Robert
good
Williams,
bro, monster. He has that dog in him. Just doesn't have the offensive skill set.
I don't know about Marcus Smart though. He's a flop. I don't know. I can see why you would say it, but I just don't think he's that good.
That little pit bull.
More like a Chihuahua, he's an annoying Chihuahua.
Chihuahua. All right. So, what do you call predictions? Predictions for tonight, man. I mean, for tomorrow. What do you got? Pops, what do you got?
Ooh. Logically, I would say Boston because they got to have it, obviously. But my gut tells me I think Golden State closes it out tonight. It's going to be a really tight game, though.
Really tight game. So, all right. So you should. So we got one Pablo for Golden State. Let's write these down.
I got
What do you got?
I got Boston winning tomorrow, and
Yeah,
I don't even think it's going to be a close game. I think Boston blows them out. Boston plays better when they're
Back
just we've seen it throughout the playoffs. They just once they're down, they play better. So I feel like it's going to be like a 20-point blowout tomorrow at least.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. You have the opposite. Dre, what do you got? Are you there for us, Dre? You got it? What do you got for tomorrow? We can't really hear you. You're not coming in. Let me see. Yeah, we can't hear you, Dre.
Can't hear you, Drake.
We'll get your prediction and we'll post it up.
Come on, we know he's picking Golden State. He's a Golden State.
Yeah,
Warriors.
he's definitely going to Golden State.
We don't even need to hear his prediction.
All right, well, hold on a second. Yeah, we're not getting you. It's okay. I don't know. Maybe check the speaker or something. Oh, okay. For me, this is gonna sound crazy because what Javi just said. I'm going the complete opposite way. I'm thinking that this led to the fact that they couldn't beat Curry, not hitting a 3-pointer, playing like shit. Well, quote unquote like shit. I have all the pieces coming together for Golden State, and they're closing out the series tomorrow in a blowout. I'm talking about when I tell you like a good 12, 15 points, that's how it's going to be tomorrow. That's just my gut.
We're all at the different points.
The funny thing about this is that I called Golden State in 6, right?
Yeah.
So I want to lean, but I've just seen Boston be so dumb at times that at times when their backs are against the wall, it just seems like they know how to pull a game off a little bit more than as opposed to being up for some reason. They went down to didn't they go down to the to Milwaukee, and then they went up against the Miami Heat, and then they lost it. They lost at home, and then they had to beat the Miami Heat at Miami. That's who they are. They're that team that you could just. There's nothing really consistent about them, but the one thing that it has been consistent is that when they're down and they're like in an elimination game, they know how to play the game of basketball a little bit better than the other team.
Yeah,
I agree. So let's see if we can get you in here. Let me see. Yeah, for some reason we can't get your
sound.
Get you, man. We can't get you on the what do you call it? I'm gonna say this. I would like to believe, right, that Boston steps up, that Boston does everything they need to do. The only thing holding me back, my only reservation, if Golden State plays, if any player on their team plays well, and you have a healthy, on-point Steph Curry, That's the only reason why I'm saying what I'm saying. Because I'm like, dude, they came off of. They should have lost. They should have lost when everything on paper says they should have lost. You know what I mean? So it kind of bugs me out. But let me
see, that's kind of why I'm thinking it's going to be a close game throughout, and everything could be running well for both teams, and I just think it's just going to be like like last possession type of stuff for me.
It's definitely a close series.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. So my prediction is that
right?
we're gonna be putting up the ropes around the TD Garden in Boston tomorrow night. That's my prediction, number one. Number two, I agree with Pablo that it's gonna be a close game, and I think that will be the undoing of the Celtics, because when the nerves start coming, you can tell that they're a very nervy team. 3-4 minutes without scoring. So are the Warriors, by the way. They go stretches with like dry spells. So I feel like if the Warriors can stay close, Boston's not able to gain any separation by the third quarter, the 94 feet will start shrinking on them, and the fourth quarter we'll see the Warriors rise to the top, lift the trophy. Steph will be the finals MVP. And I feel like they almost want to mail that to his house. They wanted to mail it to his house 2 weeks ago.
They've been setting this narrative.
It's almost pathetic.
From the beginning. They've been setting this narrative up from the beginning, man. Okay, so
yeah, of course.
Let me ask you a question. Let's say Boston pulls out a miracle. They win.
Okay.
They win. Not a miracle. And you have to pick an MVP for Boston. Who's their MVP?
Oh, Jesus.
It's not as easy because it's not Tatum.
I would go with
Jaylen Brown.
I would go with Jaylen Brown at this point.
Jaylen Brown, right?
Yeah.
I think he's been their best player, like most consistent player. All right, great. You had a good point about your team being able to dish it, but they can't take it. Remember you were talking about Golden State?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm tired of Draymond Green and Steve Kerr especially trying to be all high on the morality horse when it's convenient for us and we need to employ those tactics to our advantage. We do it easily without thinking about the other team, the consequences, how many kids are in the building, whatever it is that we used as excuses why it wasn't okay for the crowd to be screaming F you Draymond. I like the F you Draymond. Man. You know what I'm saying? Draymond's got to find something better than to say my kids are in the building. You guys are very classy for dropping F-bombs. Bro, you're at the NBA Finals. Beers are $18 a piece. You know what I'm saying? Somebody drinks 4. They're allowed to get a little, you know what I'm saying, a little more bass in their voice, a little slurry. They're allowed, man.
Did you see the guy from Barstool, Dave Portnoy? He's on the sideline and he has a fuck Draymond shirt on or something like
right.
that. Fuck Draymond, and he was talking shit to him, and I think that's part of what he was talking about. But like you said, man, here I'm gonna give another flip side though. I think that Steve Kerr and Draymond especially, unless they're real bitches, which I don't really think they are, I think that they do that type of reverse psychology. Let me play their class, slick or whatever, to see if I can kind of get it that way. But I don't know, because you said it. You held it on the head. When shit gets crazy, bro, the first person popping shit is your boy Draymond. He's the first one, man, and he don't stop. That does not stop, man.
I think he's savvy enough to play that game. You know?
Yeah, like to play that.
I think so too.
And Steve Kerr played for Phil Jackson, the Zen master, in terms of learning how to manipulate, things, or referees or whatever. I think he learned it from him. Now I don't know if every instance where we've seen him get all high horsey on it, if it applied, but I think in this case, I think so. You know what I'm saying? I think he's playing that Phil Jackson, mind fuck with the referees.
I agree.
Yeah. Especially in a city like Boston that already has a bad reputation. Because not for nothing, their stadium is loud, and I'm sure it's very obnoxious.
And plus, Draymond's
It
kids
is.
ain't the only kids in that arena. There's a bunch of kids hearing that stuff out there. So
Bro, they curse at Chase Center all the time. They used to curse at Oracle all the time.
Yeah, I believe it. Shit.
When Riley Curry was 1 year old, they were cursing at the Oracle.
How about this? I got a question for you guys. How shady was it, right, of the news media to pan in on Seth Curry's dad and his new chick?
Oh, that's grimy.
Yo,
that
how
was grimy
wild is that,
shit.
dude? What the F does that have to do? Yo, that was, to me, I was like, dude, what are they doing?
yeah,
Like,
do you know
we were
that?
watching like TMZ or some shit?
Did you hear the alleged background?
That
on
is.
that? Did you hear the alleged background on that?
Yes. Yes. Go give us a little background, Pablo. Tell us.
So the lady that Steph Curry's dad is dating, and the guy that Steph Curry's mom is dating, those two people used to be married.
Be married.
To each
No
other.
way.
What
Yeah.
in the swipe swap bullshit is this?
Yo, they did the straight up swap. They did
Straight
the
up.
go to the dealership, sign the papers, and take the new joint and go home.
You fucking refinanced, yo.
That's
Yo, Javi, what kind of shit is that, bro?
I didn't want to believe it, man. And I
Yeah,
still
I thought
don't
it
want
was
to
gossip
believe it.
too.
But
What the F?
I saw pictures and I was like,
That's terrible.
Here's where they did them real dirty, though. They
I
showed
know,
pictures.
and I'm
They
just
showed
saying,
pictures
like,
of
is it
one
really
couple
happening?
before
If
with their
Pablo's
kids.
saying it, I gotta believe
That's
it. Like,
so bad.
I just wanted to get away from it because I was like, nah.
Yeah, like, what are we doing? What are we
Curry's
doing?
did this? Come on, man.
That's so
Not
bad.
Curry's.
Oh my God.
yep.
That's
You're like,
terrible, man.
You know what's crazy? It's like you got to dig so deep to find some dirt on Stephen Curry, that you have to go to like dad messing with like wife swapping with his wife and shit. That's crazy. Okay,
That's why your dad ended up with the 20 and not the 80.
yo, for real. Oh,
That's
all
funny.
right, so we're moving on. Yo, there's a big thing brewing in sports, right? And
Yes,
it's
it
kind
is.
of like it's kind of crazy. This is, believe it or not, I didn't think at first when we first went over it that it was such a big story. But then when you start breaking it down the dollar amounts, right, and how much is involved and what it's going to take to actually get some of this off, and then somebody that I know threw in a wrinkle, and I'll bring it to you guys. We're talking about the LIV is not going to have a LPGA. They're not going to have a woman. They're not going to have that part of it either. So it's like, now the PGA is going to be really advertising, which is crazy, advertising themselves as the inclusive golf league.
Smart.
It's genius. But when you consider their history at the Masters, at all these different famous courses where for a long time African Americans weren't even allowed in the clubhouse or be members, you're like, okay, little touchy, little slippery slope, but all right, I'll give it to you, because now they're like, we have women, the Saudi Arabian company, right, the backing of the other league. So just to give people the background, there's the PGA Tour, right? That's the one league. Let's say that's like the NBA. And then there's the LIV, which would be, let's say, the XFL. Two completely different leagues. Two completely different pay structures. Two completely different just avenues that they're taking. And approaches to the game. So now, the NBA, let's say, the LIV, the PGA is the old guard. That's the way it's always been done. That's the way we know it's done. That's acceptable practices and standards. LIV comes in and says, "Hold my beer. This is bullshit." Pablo, can you give us a little more? I know you have a little more on the direct background of the
Yeah.
league.
So the way the league is structured is obviously a lot different than the PGA. Number one, it's 3 rounds, right? Not 4 rounds like the PGA. Number two, there is no making a cut. Everyone goes through and everyone gets paid depending on how you finish. Obviously, there's big names that have gotten some guaranteed money, out of it, like Phil and Dustin Johnson and things like that, right? But at the end of the day, everyone gets paid. And there's also underneath levels. The caddies get paid no matter what. And some caddies can make more money than some guys, than some PGA Tour guys winning tournaments, And I was talking to a really good friend of mine who's really into golf, he's an instructor and things like that. So this is his thing. So he was the one kind of breaking things down for me in terms of like all these little details like that. And he thinks the PGA is in real trouble. He really, really thinks the PGA is in real trouble. And and I wasn't thinking like that until he was breaking down all these other factors to me. And he's basically saying they're lucky Tiger didn't take the money that was being offered.
Could you give us the estimated amount of money?
Reportedly is almost $1 billion.
$1 billion.
And Tiger, declined it because I think he thinks he can still win the majors and pass Jack. And obviously he was taught by his father about legacy and about the history and everything. So I think there's a level of respect for that too.
I think it's a mixture. I agree with you. I definitely think he wants to chase that. It's definitely legacy. His name means a lot, but it's also the smart business move. The smart business move is to stay.
He's gonna make money no matter what he would have done. So I think at the end of the day, that wasn't a concern for him.
But look, I'm gonna say this, right? So you got to weigh the two options. The two options is go LIV, make $1 billion, cool, or go take my chances, bet on myself, win another Masters or win another major, right? Set the record, and literally that $1 billion, I would say that over a lifetime, the money that he would make by winning another Masters and becoming quote unquote arguably the greatest of all time would be double that $1 billion over a lifetime. So I think it's a smart business move to bet on yourself, try to go for it, win it, because the heights that you could reach.
Yeah, but it's easy.
He needs it.
Yeah,
but for legacy,
it's easy to say that when he's already secure. So that's why I tell you the money is irrelevant to him. I think it's the legacy that's relevant to him, and the accomplishment is relevant to him. I don't think he cares whether he would have end up making $1 billion over it at this moment. I don't think it was a factor for him to decide, where am I going to make more money? I don't think he sat there and thought about that.
No. I just think it's an additional benefit.
Yeah. I'm sure he's smart. He's savvy enough, and his team is savvy enough to say, hey, bro, you really feel like you can, get the record, then you obviously what's going to come behind that if you do that. If you really feel like that, but at the end of the day, it's his call. But what's happening for the other players, right? Some of the guys that already left have made the decision, I want the money. Phil took the money because he's got other issues right now with his gambling and all that. But generally, the rest of the guys, they said, bro, I can make more money here than in the short amount of time that I did with the PGA. And you got to also remember, which I didn't know about this too. My buddy, shout out to Ray, told me about that. He's like, there's guys that take losses to go play in these tournaments. Because even if they make a little money in another tournament or they win a major tournament, not a major, but they win a big tournament, get a big payday, taxes, pay the caddy, pay the team, blah, and then some of the guys, if they don't make cuts, they don't get paid. So they have to take losses to go to the next tournament, right? Expenses to go to the next tournament. So if there's guys that have an opportunity to go make guaranteed money, and then for the guys that have won majors, right? We all know that the Masters is the Super Bowl for these guys, right? It's the number one. So if you have a guy that won the Masters and one of his goals was to do that, I won my Super Bowl, and understanding how difficult it is to win a tournament period, let alone a big one like the Masters, and you have guys that did it, and now they're saying, well, now you can just give you this guaranteed money going forward, and it's going to be more than what you've made up until this point in your career. There might be guys that say, well, I won my Super Bowl, now I'm going to go get my money.
Yeah.
And that's where now the majors have to make a decision. The Masters, the Open, and the U.S. Open. They got to make the heat's on them right now because they have to make a decision whether or not to allow these guys to play.
I got a question about okay, so this is Mad Dog, Mad Dog Sports or whatever.
Yeah.
He made a comment, and it's funny because I caught it. Another caller caught it because he asked him to elaborate on it, and then he backed away on it and never addressed it again. Okay, and the subject was this: ESPN, CBS, NBC. On any given week, you can watch that they'll have golf on their channel. They already have network deals with these channels, right? Mm-hmm. So you'll catch it, and you're like, damn, why are they showing so much golf or whatever? And what do you call it? He made a comment, right? And it was based off of a Dan Patrick take. Yeah. Talking about Dan Patrick was it's going to mess up the integrity of the game because is there not anything on the line to win? What are they competing? If they're all getting paid, they're all getting equal money. who's going to rise to the top when you could just get what everybody else gets. Right? And initially I was like, well, that does make sense. The competition, will it suffer? I started asking myself all these questions. But when Mad Dog made his comment, I was like, oh, I see what's happening. It's really affecting the old guard. Mm-hmm. It's really fucking with the old guard because now it's messing with that Disney money. It's messing with that CBS money. It's messing with that NBC contract. Now they have to think about this, right? The PGA gets overtaken, right? Let's say it's not the hottest commodity. Now you have this second best commodity on 3 channels. You know what I mean? Now you gotta look forward and you gotta restructure. Now you gotta establish deals with this whole new league. You know what I mean? Because you gotta take them seriously. And the thing that they have, like for instance, we've seen new leagues pop up in all kinds of, football, baseball, all kinds of stuff, right? But let me tell you something. This is the first time I've ever seen a new league with this much talent, with the exodus of this much talent. You know what I mean? A lot of top players are going over to this league. And that right there, it must be a nightmare. You know what I equate it to? Instead of it being like NFL versus like XFL, where you don't really know anybody on the XFL, you know what it's becoming more like? It's becoming more like the MLB versus like the Caribbean All-Stars. You know what I'm saying? Where there's top-notch, a group really good players, and the quality of the sport is just as good, just as solid, just as exciting. You know what I mean? And then you have to compare it.
And the other thing you got to remember is that, like fans of golf, watch the player.
Yeah.
The golfers care about the majors.
Yeah.
And then hardcore golf fans, there's probably somewhere in between of that, right? But there's some hardcore golf guys that care about only the majors, and others care about the players. Some care about both. That's why, like I said, that the pressure's on the three majors, because they need to decide what they're going to do. Since the PGA doesn't regulate them, the PGA can't make that determination. They're independent organizations. So what is the Masters going to do? They're going to side with the PGA. So in other words, it's those guys that are still in the PGA that are on the fence, right? They have to make a decision. If the majors close the door, now the pressure's on those guys to say what's more important to you, winning a major or making money. And those guys will make their decision. But the longer that these opens don't make a decision, runs the risk of these guys just jumping to live if they feel comfortable that the majors will still allow them to play going forward. Yeah. And if that happens, PGA is going to be done eventually. So this thing that you mentioned about the ladies, I didn't know. I hadn't heard it, but it's good because if it gives them more spotlight, it's good for them. Obviously, number one, but we know they're doing it to save their own asses.
Of course they are.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course they are. They have no
because they're sitting there taking the position. Because we know the Saudis are not going to invest in women.
That's what they say, right?
So it's smart. Don't get me wrong. It's smart. It's tactical, but it's survival. Is really what it is.
I'll tell you what I see, man. I see this. Jen put up a couple of comments because she's very knowledgeable on this. Live matches the players as a team, and the money is split based on how team members do. Yeah, so everybody gets an equal cut based on the sport. PGA players pay their own way, their own hotel, everything. Yeah, imagine that. So okay, and if they don't make the cut, they don't get paid. The tournaments can be watched on. Oh, now she's advertising for them. LiveGolf.com, YouTube, Facebook, BBC. Yeah. So here's the deal with that, right? So you know what I was thinking? Okay, and I mentioned this to you, Pablo, the other day. I was like, LIV, right? They have this whole new league. They got endless supply of money. What was the budget you said? The budget was somewhere in what?
Public trust fund is around $600 billion, allegedly.
$600 billion. You're gonna tell me, right?
And don't get me wrong, the PGA's got money.
Yeah,
but they've been kind of.
What makes Pebble Beach? What makes the Masters the Masters? A lot of it is nostalgia. People putting the history behind it. Whatever. Man, listen. LIV says, okay, cool. You hold my phone. We're gonna not only have you could have North America and you could have England and Scotland and all that stuff. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna have our next tournament somewhere in Dubai. The one after that in Singapore. The one after that in India, the one after that, and take over the rest of the world, bro, and literally travel the world doing these same golf.
But their next event is in Portland.
Look at it.
And then they're going to be in Boston in September, and then they're going to be in Chicago in September.
I'm like, go to Dubai. They're like, yeah, they're going to Portland.
They're going to Portland. They're going to Boston. They go to Chicago. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of golf clubs.
Yeah.
that are gonna be like, "Yo, we'll take you."
I'm very
and
interested.
and here's the thing: is that the only one that rotates is the U.S. Open. The Open, we know it's in, in Scotland, and we know the Masters is in Augusta, so that doesn't change. That's why they're so prestigious to the players and so important.
I'm very interested to see because I'm for some reason I'm getting the same vibe about the PGA that I got about NCAA. I'm like, this is an antiquated model. It's going to be falling by the wayside until they make really dramatic changes to how they operate. You know what I mean? And we'll see. We'll see what the future holds.
And
But
then,
I'm excited for other than Tiger. This is the first time I've actually paid attention that closely.
and then one of the other obviously last factors before we move on is the nil. Liv says you could keep your name, image, likeness, and make money off yourself all you want. We just need you to come give your name that you're going to play.
Yeah.
PGA is 50-50.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy, right? Well, that's again, it's like the NCAA. Oh, you can't make money off of your whatever. And now this other league.
And here comes the SEC, little by little, building its own league.
Basically. All right. So we're gonna move on, and we're gonna close out the show with a nice little segment. Every time we post stuff on our group page, I find it really fascinating. When people's thought processes behind start, bench, cut. Now, when you're splitting hairs amongst the best ever, you know what I mean? It's like one little thing can keep you, I'll bench this guy. Why? But I'm always fascinated to hear the logic, you know what I'm saying, behind it. So I'm going to spit off a couple of different trios, right? And I'm going to ask you, start, sit, start, bench, cut, and you let me know what order and why, okay? So I'm going to start off nice and, well, not easy, but I'm going to start off with, let me see, round you go. All right, let's start off with one that's been kind of beat into the mud, all right?
We'll let Javi go first.
Javi, you can go first. Let's go Randy Moss, Jerry Rice, T.O.
I'm gonna start Jerry Rice. I'm gonna bench T.O. and I'm gonna cut Randy Moss.
Ooh, really? Give me that.
And can I say why?
Yeah, of course.
Because I feel like Randy Moss, out of those three players, took plays off. All right.
That's fair.
Jerry Rice and T.O., I don't think they ever took plays off. So in that aspect, I got to cut the player that's not going to give me 100% because those three are basically, you could call them interchangeable, right? But the only thing that you don't change is effort. So I'd rather get the effort.
I like you got deep with us. You got deep with us on that one. I like that.
Makes sense. It makes sense to me after thinking about it based on that.
Right. You know what? That's a good angle. You see,
you got to nitpick, right?
And this is why we do this, because that's definitely an angle I would have never. I was in my head. I thought he was automatically going to say what usually people say: Rice, Moss, T.O. Right? And now you that is a great point. Yeah, effort is absolutely one of the things.
And it's self-admitted, right? I mean, that's the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, Pablo, we're going to go with a different one. Barry, Emmett, Peyton.
This one's kind of easy for me, simply because I have to nitpick.
Yeah. I'm
not going to sit there and compare talent or eras or anything like that. My favorite number is number 20 because of Barry Sanders. Okay. So I'm gonna start him. I'm gonna cut Emmett because he's a fucking cowboy. And then Peyton just right there in the middle. We're gonna bench him. So that was easy for me. That was if I have to nitpick, there it is right there. So
all right.
You gave me my favorite running back and a running back from a team I despise. That was easy.
All right, so let's go. Okay, I got one for you guys. We get to go. Both of you can answer this one. Your choice. Mahomes, Herbert, Allen.
Who's got this one?
You start.
All right. I'm gonna go. Mahomes starts. Allen benched, and you could cut Herbert.
Okay.
And I hear what you've been saying on the post. What has Herbert done to be ranked so high? Yes, maybe we're projecting this to eventually happen, but at this moment, I haven't seen. And I always said, I go, his team is stacked offensively, man. Don't tell me that his team is not stacked offensively.
Keenan Allen, what do you call it? What's his name? Williams. They got the running back. Come on, they.
Right, well,
Man.
I'm gonna agree with Javi, but not for the same reasons that you guys are doing it. It's kind of this one. I mean, it's a nitpick, but obviously Mahomes you have to start because of who he is, and Allen is right on his heels in terms of the battles back and forth. So Herbert, you're right. Herbert is the newer one. But I can cut Herbert using the same thing that you guys are saying for a different reason. You're saying he's stacked. Yeah. Those three guys, Eckler, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams are talented, but they're also injury prone. They're also very injury prone. I play a lot of fantasy. Trust me, I know their histories, and they're older. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are older wide receivers. They're not old. I'm not saying they're NFL old, but I'm just saying, compared to the other offensive weapons, they've been around a little longer, but they're injury prone. So yes, they're talented, uber talented, but they're injury prone. So that's why I would cut Herbert.
All right, I got one for you guys. Hakeem the Dream, Shaq Diesel, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
This is the thing, man. And I do this a lot because I don't want to be that guy to just fantasize about a player I didn't really watch in their prime.
Yeah.
And that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I'm going to cut him because I just didn't see him in his prime, Okay. So I'm going to go Shaq, he's starting, and Hakeem the Dream, he's the bench. And I know, again, all interchangeable, but I didn't see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the 70s. I was born in the 70s, so I can't really tell you how great he really was. I saw him when he was on the Lakers towards the end of his career, when Magic Johnson was really the engine of that.
So ball Kareem. Ball Kareem. Not Afro Kareem. All right, Pablo, what do you got?
So I'm starting Shaq. So really where I'm struggling is either, who to bench and who to cut. I think logically I would have to kind of more or less slightly agree with Javi, but my gut, I'm just thinking that skyhook, I think even in today's NBA, I still think that skyhook would be undefendable. And it would just be I think me just love to see that. And he was obviously really, really tall anyway. And I just think it would just love to see that skyhook over these guys, from the eras after him. Because I don't know. I don't think not even maybe even a Shaq could defend that.
Yeah, I think it was pretty indefensible.
And I think I'll just pick that just for the opportunity, potential to see Kareem skyhook some fools. But but that's really more hypothetical.
All right, one more. Let's go. Maybe one. Got one, maybe two more. Here we go. Montana, Brady, Marino.
All right. I'm starting Montana. I'm benching Brady. And I'm cutting Marino.
That's a tough one, man. I know because he didn't win, so it's easy like that. What about you, Pops? What you got?
I think. Man. You know what? I'm trying to. I want to say it this way. I'm trying to convince myself. I want to start Marino because I want to see that talent. Just because I guess we're hypothetically, I don't. I'm just trying to think. Imagine Marino in today's NFL. The way he might carve up, teams and stuff like that. But I'm not bold enough to say I'm going to start Marino. I'm just going to stick with Montana, Brady, and cut Marino. I wanted to say start Marino, bench Montana, and cut Brady, but couldn't bring myself to do it.
All right, one last one, and we saved the best for last, of course. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James.
All right. I'm starting Michael Jordan. I'm benching LeBron, and I'm cutting Kobe Bryant.
Yep. I'm exactly the same way. I'm exactly the same way.
I know,
Michael.
but again, you're talking about three guys are very interchangeable, right? So you're gonna be nitpicking. What do you really want? If you want the complete basketball player, you're obviously gonna want LeBron James. If you want guys that are just looks like guys that are just willing to win at whatever cost it is, you're talking about Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. But I will always pick Michael Jordan in the aspect that when it came to the finals, he never lost. And, a lot of people say it's a team sport, but I always say, I think Michael Jordan developed a lot of those players into becoming what they were because they were under him and he demanded so much from them, as opposed to players that are already were, in their star years. And that has nothing to take away from Kobe because, I know Shaq was already a star when Kobe was a rookie, but like he had already a Shaq to basically guide themselves into a championship. LeBron James, as great as he was, like he even said, he went to Miami to learn how to win a championship.
Yeah.
And he learned on the Wayne Wades, on the Pat Rileys, even Udonis Haslem had experience of winning a championship. So like Jordan, there's no other championships that the Chicago Bulls have ever won. So they won 6 because of Michael Jordan. Arguably the greatest player to ever play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Lakers. That's a historic franchise in the NBA, and you got to give it up to LeBron to at least give Cleveland one. But that losing record in the finals to me,
that does sound like
your instinct.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's simpler for that. Obviously, for me, I start Jordan. I am a Jordan guy. I'm a Bulls fan, obviously. So that was easy for me to say. So the distinction is, what do I do with LeBron and Kobe? As great as Kobe was, I still view him as Jordan Jr.
Exactly. I've always his game is basically based around what Michael Jordan did. Right. So, how do you take the student as superior to the teacher? In other words, now if Kobe would have basically taken the baton, because he could have, they started off at 3-0, but when they lost to the Detroit Pistons in the final with 2 other Hall of Famers, with Karl Malone and Gary Payton, to me that kind of already told me, all right, Michael Jordan didn't have 3 other Hall of Famers starting with him, and he still won all 6.
He did in the back 3.
I mean, don't give me Tony Kukoc.
No, Rodman's gonna. I mean, is Rodman not Hall of Famer?
Who?
Rodman and Pippen.
Chris Dudley.
Rodman and Pippen.
Yeah, but that's 2. Shaq.
Three others. Yeah.
That's 3 starters. All and including Kobe. That's 4 Hall of Fame starters, and they lost.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. To me, like I said, I simplified. I can't have 2 of the same. Yeah. So.
Okay, one last question. It's the bottom of the 9th in the World Series. You need a hit, not a home run. You need a hit, right, to clear the base, to clear third base and win the game. Okay, there's no count. It's just a fresh at bat. What player in the history of baseball would you put in that spot?
Let me take this one first, because I think I know where Javi's going, and I think it's gonna be the same thing I'm gonna choose is Derek Jeter.
All right.
That's what I would have said.
I was going back in my head. I was going between Derek Jeter and David Ortiz.
Yo, David is clutch.
Yeah.
David Ortiz is clutch.
So that's why I was like, you know what? Again, as a Yankee fan, it's hard to say, but David Ortiz was a clutch hitter.
Clutch, bro.
So that's why I'm just there like, Pablo, I'm with you, but at the same time, I got to give that David Ortiz props as well, because you put whoever there and they got ice veins and they're going to get that hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, but if it's just a hit.
Yeah, I would have gone Derek Jeter only because I've seen him be.
I've seen Jeter do it more than
Ortiz.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like on offense, on defense, I've seen him that's just the only reason.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
just seen Jeter do it more than anybody. Period. It isn't even about Ortiz. I've just seen him do it a bunch of
That
times.
guy's
You
a
know,
freaking machine. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up on an hour. I want to say thank you for everybody for coming out tonight. Comment, share, like. Let us know what you think. Especially with the start, bench, cut. Let us know what your thoughts are and who you would start, bench, and cut on each of those. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have the NBA Finals coming up, and then after that, we're going to take a little hiatus for the end of the celebrate. We're going to be celebrating the end of season 2 sometime next week, next Wednesday. So definitely join us for that. With that being said, this is my crew. My man, El Colombiano Javito.
One
My
shout
man,
out,
Pablo
shout out. Let me give a shout out to my brothers Claudio and Heather. They're watching Nacional tonight to get to the final. So shout out, baby.
Oh, yeah. Soccer, baby. What do you call it? Big shout out to Petey Pablo, Schefter, always with the news. My man, Dre, thank you for chiming in. I appreciate you. Everybody else out there, Akil, I know you was out there, AK, Jen, Sean, we'll catch up with you guys. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Sports is My Love Language podcast. Catch us tomorrow night, starting whenever you want. What do you call it? We'll be on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon. iHeart. Catch us on all of them, man. Take us with you. Listen. Give us a listen. Give us a download. We really appreciate it. And with that, we are out of here. Take it easy, people.
Peace.
Peace.